Morning, Atzlacha with the fasting, Atzlacha with the daf. Well, we started daf Kuf Chof Ches Amud Aleph Tanu Rabbanon. It's the first wide line on Kuf Chof Ches Amud Aleph, and we're discussing muktzah. So the Gemara is like this: Chavile Kash, Chavile Tilson, 18. The Mishnah talks about bundles of wood, bundles of straw, and these things, the Mishnah tells us it depends. If it's for animal food, it's not muktzah. If it's for firewood, it is muktzah. Because animal food you can use on Shabbos, firewood you can't. Now the Gemara brings a brayso that elaborates on this topic. Tanu Rabbanon. Chavile kash, chavile eitzim, v'chavile zrodin. Im miskin on a machal behema. If it's for animal food, metarat l'noisam. You're allowed to move them. V'emulav in metarat l'noisam. Because then they're muktzah. Shum gam le'loim chavile nitolim b'yad achas mutter l'tarat l'noisam. V'shtei yadayim osir l'tarat l'noisam. Shiur Gamliel says, regardless of the problem of muktzah, there's a problem of tircha. And if you're going to have so much heavy wood that the only way to carry it is with two hands, then it's considered a tircha yaseva on Shabbos, and a tircha yaseva is forbidden. So therefore, something which needs two hands to carry, it is forbidden to carry on Shabbos. Now the Gemara talks about a variety of herbs, which is very hard to get the correct English translation for. And I'm just going to say the basic Lashon HaKodesh. Chavile seah bundles, ezov, the cornice, three different kinds. Then again, if it's for firewood, you can't use them on Shabbos because it's muktzah. But the machal behema mistapik b'ed Shabbos, you're allowed to use them on Shabbos if it's for animal food. You can break off pieces and eat it. We mustn't chop it up with a keli, because if you chop it up with a keli, it is a problem of toichen. You're not allowed to chop up, you're not allowed to dice finely food, because it's a problem of toichen. But with a hand, it's okay. Some of these vegetables, some of these herbs, they have inside the actual herb, it's got like a husk. And inside it's got like grain which you want to take out. A bit like peas in a pod, or grain in its kernel of grain in its shell. Or sometimes you've got these monkey nuts in the fine wrapping around them. So the problem is, it looks like dosh. Dosh is when you extract a grain from its kernel. Now these are herbs, and therefore you're allowed to do it in a way which is clear that it's not dosh. So the Gemara says like this: how much of a shino you have to make. You're allowed to rub it in your hands and eat it. You mustn't do a lot in a keli. You're not allowed to use an instrument to do this. So you're allowed to use the tops of your fingers, but not the palms of your hand. The palms of your hand you can rub much better. The Chachamim say you can only use the tops of your fingers. You mustn't do a lot like you do on a weekday. The same halacha applies to all kinds of herbs. That according to the Chachamim, you're only allowed to do it with your fingers, not allowed to do it with the palms of your hands. It says more Maya Misa, Ninya, which is a kind of mint. I once pointed out there's a certain pleasure when Rashi uses a French word which is very similar to the English word. If you look in Rashi, Rashi says Ninya, minta. Rashi actually calls it mint. Sia, what is Sia? Tsasri. It's a herb called Tsasri. Ezov is called Evos, which is kind of hyssop. Cornis is Cornisa Shema. It's called Cornisa. Man boy Cornisa v'ishtaka chashi. That wasn't Cornisa, but rather it was called chashi, which is a different kind of herb. Eloseo tsasri ezov avoso. It's a kind of hyssop. Cornisa chashi. That means we've got three different kinds of herbs, and the same halacha applies. That if it's three halachas we've said over here. What are the three halachas? If it's for animal food, it's not muktzah. If it's for firewood, it is muktzah. You're not allowed to chop it up finely with an instrument, because that's a problem of toichen. You're allowed to take away the husks, but you have to do it in a way that is a shinui that doesn't look like dosh. Itma. Now we're coming on to raw meat. Raw meat which has been salted. Shabbos, you're allowed to take it on Shabbos because since it's been salted, one is allowed to eat it, one can eat it, and therefore it's edible. Basar tafel, the raw, unsalted meat. It's not muktzah. You're not allowed to move it. And the more explains. He holds a muktzah, and therefore how can you possibly carry it in the raw meat is not edible. Since it's not edible, so therefore it's muktzah. It says more like this. But muktzah la'achila sovlo krab Yehuda. That indeed you're not allowed to eat it. But muktzah le'talta sovlo krab Shimon. There's a difference between carrying it, touching it, and eating it. Regarding touching and carrying it, he holds like a Shimon that there's no muktzah, and therefore you're allowed to carry it. Regarding eating it, he holds like a Yehuda that there is a muktzah. Now, why is raw meat muktzah? The answer is because it's inedible. Now, the problem is that dogs can't eat raw meat. So, why is it muktzah? So, the Rishonim over here say basically like this, that even when something is edible for dog food, since in the end of the day, most people don't want to use the raw meat for the dogs. Rather, what they prefer to do is to keep it for themselves, cook it after Shabbos and eat it. So therefore it is muktzah. So over here we've got a question, why it's muktzah? Because it is edible for dogs. But at the end of the day, most people don't want to keep the meat for dogs. They want to keep it for themselves. That's why it is muktzah. Says the more like this. Rav Chisda that it is muktzah. Like a goose. They're moving it out of the sun into the shade that it shouldn't get moldy in the sun. I see over here that the reason they're moving it is because it's chisankis. It's a financial loss. And since it's a financial loss, therefore people are going to carry it, therefore you're allowed to. So you see over here that they allowed him to move a goose, which was a raw goose, just for the sake of protecting it. Now, if you hold that it's muktzah, you're not allowed to move muktzah to protect it. It says, raw meat, you can't eat it raw. Raw duck, because it's a much lighter meat, it's a much thinner meat, so therefore it can be eaten raw. Not eaten normally, but it can be chewed. A person who's very hungry will chew raw duck. He will not chew raw meat. Meat needs cooking, but chicken goose meat does not. Tosfos asked the kasha, the third to bottom Tosfos, but if it's raw and it hasn't been salted, then it'll be full of blood. So how can you eat it? And the Rebbe tells this as very chiddush, which comes up in Hilchos Taluvos, which we pass on like, and that is, if you wash off the outer blood, then the inner blood is permitted to be eaten as long as it hasn't yet come out. So since when you put it in your mouth, the raw meat, it's still got the blood inside, absorbed inside the meat, therefore it's okay to be eaten. So therefore you're allowed to chew raw goose meat, and therefore it's not muktzah. But raw animal meat is not able to be chewed, and therefore it's muktzah. Tonu Rabbanon, dag meliach, salted fish which a person can eat, mutar letaltele, you can carry it. Dag tofel, but raw unsalted fish, osel letaltele, not allowed to. Here the Rishonim say that everybody agrees with this. The reason everybody agrees with this is because nobody feeds dogs, don't mind eating raw meat. They don't eat raw fish. So for raw fish is muktzah according to everybody. Basa, but meat, you're allowed to. Why? So either because we hold that you can feed it to the dogs and therefore it's not muktzah, or we're going to the shittas of Shimon that holds that there's no muktzah. It's a machlokes Rishonim shat in this gemara over here. You're allowed to carry bones because you can feed it to the dogs. Dogs like to chew bones, and therefore you're allowed to carry a bone on Shabbos because it's not muktzah. The Shavuot says it's only in a situation where people have dogs. If nobody in the town has dogs, then the bones become muktzah. Top of Chav Ches Amud Beis, Basa Tefuach. Meat which is spoilt, you're allowed to carry. If you got a wild animal, like a wolf, a lion, they will eat even spoilt meat. So for them, it is permitted to carry. In water which has been revealed, because they're royal for a cow. For a cat. Normally, water which has been uncovered is forbidden to be drunk. Why? Because we're choishish that a snake came and drank from it, and when the snake drank from it, he left behind some poison. So therefore, we always forbid a person to drink water which has been revealed. Cats are not affected by the poison of snake. It doesn't damage them. So therefore, water which is revealed should be muktzah, because a human being can't drink it. Says the Brisa, it's not muktzah because a cat, you can feed it to your cat, and therefore, since your cat can benefit from it, it's not muktzah. Says the Gemara, he disagrees. He says that one should not give the cat water which might have been drunk from a snake, because even though for the cat it's not dangerous, for a human being it is dangerous, and we're choishish that if you leave it around, a human being may come to drink from it. So therefore we say to you, don't leave it around, and therefore you have to get rid of it straight away, so therefore it's muktzah. We're continuing now with the halachas, what's permitted on Shabbos. If a person has a chicken coop which is high up, so therefore the chickens need steps to climb into the chicken coop. So therefore one's allowed to, if let's say the steps break on Shabbos or they disappear for whatever reason, the person is allowed to take a basket, turn it upside down, so that the chickens can climb onto the basket and into the chicken coop on Shabbos. A chicken that ran away, a chicken is muktzah, but so therefore you're not allowed to carry muktzah. But over here we permit it to push it, which is carrying in an unusual manner, where you're just like knocking the chicken. And the reason is because if the chicken runs away, what will happen is it may die from hunger, thirst, etc. So therefore you want to help it come back into its original place. So you're not allowed to pick it up and carry it, but you're allowed to push it in the right direction. Furthermore, let's say you've got a young cow or a young donkey, and it's now not in its normal place, so you're allowed to help it along. That means you're not picking it up, but you're helping it walk by supporting it, that it should get back to its right home, so that it shouldn't have a problem with Tzar Baalei Chayim. Furthermore, if a child is, let's say, sometimes it happens, a little child starts walking, so you take it for a walk Shabbos afternoon, and after 5 minutes, the child says, I don't want to walk anymore. So what can you do? So the Mishnah says that a woman's allowed to help the child walk. Comes along Rabbi Yehuda and he explains, what does it mean to help the child walk? With the child, you're supporting the child, and he's moving his legs. That is permitted. If the child's not moving his legs at all, and the mother's schlepping him along the road, that is forbidden, because that's carrying. Now, obviously, we're not talking about a situation where the child's going to be in danger, because if the child's in danger, it's permitted. We're talking about where there's no danger. It's just a matter to help the child home. So if the child is doing step by step, it is permitted. But if the child is just dragging his feet, it is forbidden. Says the Gemara. An animal that falls into a river, into a stream, you can throw pillows and cushions into the stream, that the animal should be able to climb on it and come out. Also, and if it comes out, good. It means you're allowed to throw pillows into a river in order to help the animal come out. An animal that falls into a stream, you're allowed to help it in its place. Means you can throw food into the stream that the animal should have what to eat. You can help it in its place. But pillows and cushions are not allowed to. State in the Brisa Mefurish, the Brisa says explicitly that you're not allowed to help it out. Rather, you can just throw food into it that you should be able to eat. So the Gemara says, when there's a possibility that the animal can survive by just throwing food and drink there, then it's permitted. then you have to throw food there. But when the animal is going to die, and there's no way that you can support the animal's life there, then you're allowed to help it out by throwing pillows. So you have to always go for the least amount of effort possible. If the animal can survive in the stream, throw food into the river, into the stream, and let it survive. If the animal can't survive, you can throw pillows, they should clamber out. As the Gemara explains, otherwise, if you can't survive, you throw pillows into the river, and then he climbs out on the pillows, and then he comes out. How can you throw pillows into the stream? By doing so, the pillows and blankets which you throw into the stream cannot be taken out on Shabbos. Why? Because once they go into the stream, the animal may stand on them. And once the animal stands on them, the pillows become a bosses for muktzah. And therefore the pillows will have to stay there the whole Shabbos. Now what is wrong with the pillows staying there the whole Shabbos? So here we have a machlokes rishonim. Some that it's like soisa. Rashi says it's like soisa. Because by putting the pillows there and they cannot be moved, it's as if you're knocking down the building, because now you've concentrated the pillows there and they'll never be able to be moved. Others say that's the opposite. It's like boina, because by making that the pillows can't be moved, so it's like as if you're building a building where you're forcing a brick into its place and it can never be moved again. So either it's a problem with soisa because the pillow can never be used again, so it's like as if you're getting rid of the pillow, or it's like boina because you're putting the pillow in place. But you're not allowed to on Shabbos make a keli be established in its place. Answers the Gemara. And therefore, since Tzar is d'oraisa, will allow a person to do an issa d'rabbanan of throwing the pillows into the river in order to receive the Tzar b'alechaim, which is d'oraisa. Says the Gemara, you're allowed to push a chicken, but you're not allowed to help it walk. You're allowed to help animals in the courtyard, but not a chicken. That means even though you're allowed to help a donkey, a pigeon, you're allowed to help them walk, a donkey, a bird, etc. But chickens, you're not allowed to help them walk. So why shouldn't you let her, if you're allowed to help a donkey walk, why shouldn't you help a chicken? So the Gemara says, chickens, when you help them walk, the second you help them walk, they jump onto you, and what happens is you end up carrying them. That means a donkey or any other bird, when you lift it up a little bit to help it walks itself and uses you as a support. A chicken, once you help support it, it floats. Mekafia literally means to float. It jumps onto your body, and then you end up carrying it completely. And carrying a chicken completely is also because of muktzah. So therefore, in a situation where you could just help it without it being carried on itself, it's okay. But when you're being by a chicken, the nature of a chicken is different to all other animals, and it supports itself completely on you. They're allowed to help an animal in a courtyard and not in a Rishus Rabim. Even another Brisa says that you're not allowed to lift an animal up, but you can push it. As we explained, the Chazal permitted for the sake of Tzar b'alechaim to push an animal, but not to lift it up completely. You're not allowed to lift. There's three stages. There's lifting an animal, which is forbidden. There's pushing an animal, which is permitted. But what about the middle stage, where you're not lifting, you're not pushing, you're supporting? There's a steer in the beginning of the Brisa and the end of the Brisa. First, the Brisa starts off saying they're not allowed to lift it. You're allowed to support it. And they're allowed to push it. But that didn't look. The Brisa says you're not allowed to lift, but you are allowed to push. What about supporting? From the Reisha you can be medayek, they're not allowed to lift, but supporting you are allowed to. From the Sefer you can be medayek the other way around, because the Sefer says you're allowed to push, only allowed to push, but not support. On my Abai Sefer also in the Tana Goylas, the Sefer is discussing a chicken. That means the Reisha says you're not allowed to lift, but you're allowed to support. That's all animals. All animals are allowed to be supported, but not allowed to be lifted. Mashenkin, a chicken, you're not even allowed to support, because once you start supporting it, it will float on your body. So if you're not allowed to support it, you're just allowed to push it and no more. When you shecht a chicken, we're scared that the chicken will use its feet to move out of position. And if it moves out of position, when you cut the simonim, when you cut through the food pipe and the air pipe, we're scared that if the chicken jumps, what will happen is the knife, instead of cutting through the simonim, what it will do is it will uproot the simonim, or pull the simonim out of the face, out of where it's attached to the jaw. And then that's called a shreifa chicken. So when you shecht a chicken, you have to be very careful that it doesn't jolt out of its place. There are two solutions to the problem. One is that you lift it up into the air, where the feet therefore can't press against the floor and move out of the place. Or you push it all the way into the ground where the feet are stuck in the ground and therefore they're not allowed, it can't jolt out of place. The Gemara says, you should push the feet into the ground. You should lift it into the air. It might push its feet into the ground, and then the person will uproot the simonim. A person will uproot the simonim and not cut through the simonim. And if a person uproots the simonim and not cuts through, what will happen is that he'll be actually doing a shreifa chicken and not a kosher chicken of shechita. Says the Mishnah, you're not allowed to give birth to an animal on Yom Tov. It means you're not allowed to pull the animal, baby out. Avol mesadin, be allowed to help. It's all to do with tircha. That tircha for tzabal lechaim is allowed to, but only in the most minimal way. So therefore, you're allowed to help, but not actually cause the birth. Miyadin is ish b'Shabbos, but for a woman giving birth, not an animal. Since it's sakonas nefashos, you're allowed to be mechal Shabbos. So you're allowed to help give birth. You're allowed to call a midwife. You're allowed to mechal Shabbos. You're allowed to mechal Shabbos. You're allowed to tie up the tibur is the navel. Even allowed to cut it. Even allowed to do all the needs for bris milah on Shabbos. Says Mokitzad Mesadin, how can you help birth of the animal without actually giving birth? Also like this. If you're doing you can catch the animal that it doesn't fall. That means you're not allowed to pull the animal out, but you're allowed to hold on to it that it doesn't fall to the ground. You push around on the outside of the animal in order that the baby comes out. That means what you do is you press against the stomach of the animal, that way you push the animal out. But to actually put your hand in and to pull the animal out, that's forbidden. You can hold the animal that it shouldn't fall onto the floor. After the animal's born, often there's a lot of mucus in the nose, and it could chas v'shalom choke. Or not chas v'shalom, it's a loss for the animal. So you're allowed to blow in the nose that it should clear the mucus of the nose. And you're allowed to put the udders of the animal into the mouth of the child, or the baby, in order that the baby animal should then suckle. That means you're allowed to help the animal, but you're not allowed to do things which are not necessary. We would on Yom Tov help animals that they shouldn't suffer. So Gemara says, what would they do to help animals that they shouldn't suffer on Yom Tov? By maybe you take a piece of salt. When an animal gives birth, sometimes it forgets about the baby. So you want to remind the mother about the baby. So what you do is, you put a piece of salt inside the womb, and that causes pain to the mother. When the pain reminds the mother animal that it gave birth, and then it remembers the child, and then it remembers the pain, but it has mercy on the animal, and then it will look after it. You're allowed to pour water of the afterbirth on the baby. That way the mother will smell the smell of the afterbirth, and then will have mercy on the child. Only by toy animals. If a person's got a tummy animal, let's say a person's got a camel, and the camel gave birth on Shabbos, you're not allowed to pour after birth water on the animal in order that the mother should remember. Why? My tama. A tummy animal does not push away its child, doesn't forget about its child. And if it actually does forget about the child, then it'll never take it back. So therefore, again, you're allowed to help the animal the most minimal way, whatever it needs. So, for example, to blow through the nose to get away the mucus, to put after birth water over the animal in order that the mother should remember it and not forget it. All that is permitted. What is forbidden is to do more than absolutely necessary. Therefore, you're not allowed to put your hand in and pull out the animal. But by a treifa animal, a tummy animal, since once it forgets about the child, it'll never remember about the child again. So therefore, you're not allowed to do anything to make the mother remember the child. Says more about the Mishnah says something which seems superfluous. The Mishnah starts off, you're allowed to help a mother give birth, you're allowed to call a midwife, and you're allowed to mechal Shabbos. Of course, you're allowed to mechal Shabbos. We just said. Since you already told me that you're allowed to help a woman give birth and call a midwife, so what does the mission need to add to say mechal Shabbos? And says if she needed a candle, they're even allowed to light a candle, meaning even things which are not directly connected to the childbirth, but they're just around the childbirth, that is also permitted. And that's the chiddush of the Mishnah Mechal and Leilasa Shabbos. Even lighting a candle, just that it should be bright in the room, even that is permitted. If she wants oil to calm herself down, then you can bring oil in the hand, which is a derech shinui. Normally the way you bring oil is in a cup. Here the woman just pours oil over her hand and then afterwards smears it over her friend who's giving birth. So that's a shinui. If there's not enough in the hand, what she does is she brings loads of oil in her hair, and then she goes to the woman who's giving birth and she pulls the oil out of her hair and smears it on the woman giving birth. If that's not enough, means you're allowed to mechal Shabbos for a woman giving birth by bringing oil, but we try to minimize the amount, and therefore we say like this: bring it in the hand. If there's not enough in the hand, bring it in the hair. Not enough in the hair, so bring it in the keli. So also like this: if she needs a candle, you can light a candle. Of course you can light a candle. Without a candle, you can't see what you're doing. But the woman giving birth is actually blind, so the candle doesn't help her at all. Since she can't see us, helps her calm down. So if there's something that needs to be seen, my friend will see and do it for me. So you're allowed to light a candle even for a blind woman giving birth. Why? Because it helps her calm down. And from here we see, many of us can bring it, that anything which is done to help a woman feel more comfortable during birth is permitted on Shabbos. Because if we're talking about a blind woman, she can't even see the candle. But all she wants is the candle should be lit in order that others can watch over her properly. So we allow anything which helps miyas v'data, anything helps which has. How can a woman friend bring oil to her in her hair? Typically, mishum schita should be over because of soichet. There's no problem of schita in hair. Why? Because since hair is not absorbent, so therefore it's not got a problem with schita. It's a big shaila, we'll come to it again. Is there a problem of schita in hair? Hair, it doesn't absorb properly. Rather, what hair does is because there's so many hairs next to each other, what happens is it traps between the hairs. But with inside hair, liquid never actually goes in. Liquid never goes inside hair. It's not like cotton wool and things like that, where the liquid actually is absorbed into the material. Hair, water is never absorbed in hair. Rather, because there's so much hair, it gets trapped between the hair. So Rabbi Mechista say there's no problem with schita, it's not trapped. What we do is we do three options. Either we bring oil in the hand, which is a shinui. If that's not enough, her friend takes a cup of oil, sticks it inside the hair, meaning the cup is put inside her hair, then that way when she carries the cup, it's b'derech shinui. They come derech shinui mishani, not that much of a shinui you can do, we try and do. And if that's not enough, let's say the cup which you can stick inside the hair is not big enough to provide enough oil, then you're allowed to carry a cup normally. That means we always look to do as much as possible of a shinui. So for first we start off with a hand, then we put a cup in the hair, and then we carry a cup individually. And now the Gemara is going to tell us a lot about the halachas of helping a woman give birth, what exactly is one permitted to do. A woman giving birth, while the womb is still open, whether she says I need something, whether she says I don't need something, we're allowed to be mechal Shabbos for anything, even if she doesn't think she needs it, because while the womb is open, she's in the matzel of sakonas nefashos. Nista makeva, if the womb is closed up, then bein omo top of kuf tes omodalef, bein omo tzichani, bein lo omo tzichani, ein mechal nefashos Shabbos. You cannot be mechal Shabbos because since the womb is closed up, she's no longer in danger, and therefore you're not allowed to be mechal Shabbos whatever happens. Vashi masni ochi. That's what Vashi said. Ma'azutu masni ochi argues. A woman giving birth. Like we said before. Now while the womb is open, whether she says I need it, whether she says I don't need it, Shabbos. But once the womb is closed, if she says I need it, that means he agrees with him that while the womb is open, she's in the matzav of sakonas nefashos, and one is allowed to mechal Shabbos. What she does not agree is that when the womb is closed, Rabashi said that one's not allowed to mechal Shabbos. But Zota says that if she says that she needs it, one is allowed to mechal Shabbos. We have a Rabashi who's machmir, and Mazutra is meikol. Who do we paskin like? And that's indeed how we paskin. That even after the womb is closed, if she says, I need something, one is allowed to mechal Shabbos. When is it considered that the womb is opening up? The Gemara gives three different shiur. What she sits on the birthing stool. The left one said to be the way we pass nowadays is if she goes onto the bed, that means she finds it difficult to walk, and then if she's ready to go onto the bed when she gives birth, then she's already allowed to mechal Shabbos. So once this starts bleeding, then she is allowed to mechal Shabbos. While her friends help her walk along because she finds it difficult to walk. So there are three stages, and all three are correct halachically. And any one of these three stages, that means the first one of these three stages, that shows that birth has begun, and one's allowed to mechal Shabbos. Either that she started bleeding, or that she's sitting on the birthing stool, or that she needs help to walk. In any one of these three, is allowed to mechal Shabbos. Nowadays, where a person needs to go to hospital, and it requires sometimes preparation before. If a woman realizes that she's starting birth, one is allowed to already do something to help her if she knows that she needs, let's say she's going to take a half an hour to get to hospital. So therefore, half an hour before the birth, before she reaches this level of birth, she's already allowed to call for an ambulance or a taxi or something to come and help her to go to hospital. Until when is she considered a birthing woman? 3 days. And now the Gemara explains the three shiurim, three measurements of birth: 3 days, 7 days, and 30 days. The Gemara says like this: 3, 7, and 30. 3 whether she says I need, whether she says I don't need mechal Shabbos. Why? Because the first 3 days she's in the matzah of danger. Zayin, for the first 7 days, if she said I need help mechal Shabbos, then we're not mechal Shabbos. After 3, between 3 and 7, we're only mechal Shabbos if she needs it. After 7 days till 30 days, we're not mechal Shabbos, even if she says she needs it. You're allowed to do it through a goy, like we had the choyle kol gufoy. You're allowed to do it through a goy, and therefore, after 7 days till 30 days, she's considered the choyle kol gufoy, and one is allowed to do it through a goy. Could have all called everything that a choyle needs. Nas nelidei almoi b'Shabbos. Could have none of them have none of davashim b'sakona u'melenachi b'oisa. That means a choyle or somebody who's in tremendous pain is allowed to ask a goy to do a malacha for him on Shabbos. So therefore, a woman the first 3 days we take on always that she needs it to always mechal Shabbos. From 3 to 7, only if she says that she needs it. From 7 to 30, only through a goy because she's no longer a choyle sheish b'sakona, and therefore we only allow her to mechal Shabbos through a goy. By a woman giving birth, wait 30 days. That for the first 30 days, a woman after birth shouldn't tova. Why should she not tova? Because what happens is toveling always requires, it gets very cold, gets chilly, go into cold water, even if it's warm water coming out to get cold. And during the first 30 days, it's dangerous for a woman to get so cold. If she's got no husband with her, if she travels for her husband and then she's with her husband, then being with her husband, the actual having relations with her husband warms her up, and therefore there's no problem. What happened was the daughter of Chista was married to Rava, went to mikvah, and what happened was she got very, very cold. They brought the bed to Pumpadisa to Rava's place in order that they should have relations together. And once they have relations together, he will warm her up. So for that's the halacha. That for the first 30 days, a woman should go to mikvah unless she's able to be warmed up by her husband. Nowadays, it's not negah because the woman is usually bleeding anyway, and therefore she can't go to mikvah anyway. But that's the halacha. That for her husband to be able to warm up, then it's not a problem. You're allowed to make a fire for a woman who's given birth on Shabbos. Some of them, we know, they thought like this: lechaya and for one gave birth, yes. Lechayla loy, but for somebody who has not, well, not. And we also thought with moisak sham and moisak hamaloy. And we thought only in the winter, but not in the summer, because in the summer persons won't. Says the Gemara, v'loihi loishno chayav, loishno chayla, loishno moisak shamiv, loishno moisak chamo. You're allowed to put a fire up for anybody who's not well, whether it's winter, whether it's summer, whether it's whether she just gave birth, whether she's not well. You're always allowed to light a fire. Why? The halacha is that kol cholim eitzel tzina. Coldness makes a person very, very ill. And therefore, any time that a person feels a chill, we're allowed to make a fire. But the person can say through a goy. And that's why many people, in the olden days, even my grandmother and my father remembers, they would have every Shabbos a goy coming in to light a fire. Because for coldness, it's something which everybody is considered not well. And when a person is allowed to heal themselves. If a person does bloodletting, gets cold, even in the middle of the summer, one is allowed to make a fire for somebody who had a bloodletting. Why? Because when a person's had an operation, a person needs to get better, so therefore you're allowed to make a fire. Now that we mentioned bloodletting as a proof that you're allowed to light a fire even in the summer, the Gemara now goes on and on about bloodletting. Bloodletting is a medical procedure which I don't think we do at all nowadays, but in the olden days was very, very common. And now the Gemara is going, since they did it a very lot, the Gemara is going to tell us a lot of halachas about bloodletting. So the Gemara says like this: Shmuel, after he had a bloodletting, they cut him up a chair, beautiful chair made out of cedar wood, to make a fire because he was cold. And he had just had a bloodletting, and they didn't have any other wood, so they cut up this beautiful chair for firewood. They cut up a table, cut up a whole table just for firewood because he was cold. They cut up a bench. How can you cut up a bench because you need a fire? It's Baal Tashchis. Baal Tashchis of my body is more important than Baal Tashchis of the wood. And therefore I'm allowed to ruin, destroy a bench and a table and a chair, just that I should be able to make a fire because I'm cold after my bloodletting. Better to sell the beams of your house in order to be able to buy shoes. Wearing shoes is very, very, very important. Walking around without shoes can cause a person easily to become not well. And also what happens is it makes a person very very bizarre. It's very disgraceful to walk in the market without shoes. So a better person should sell the beams of his house than not have shoes. And the more carries on. Hik is down, but if he's got nothing to eat after bloodletting, as we will see, after bloodletting, it's extremely important to eat. Then he should rather sell his shoes to have something to eat, because eating after bloodletting is even more important than shoes. The shoes are more important than the house. Eating after bloodletting is even more important than shoes. What meal should a person have after bloodletting? Since his life has been weakened, so therefore we have to renew his life. Red for red. The question is, what's better after bloodletting? Rav says he should eat flesh, because flesh for flesh. Shmuel says red, because red wine for blood which has been released. Simon Shenimsa, which has been given over. Shmuel says like this: Shmuel b'yemadov and Milsa of the rate of Shiur Tetachli. They would make him a meal out of spleen, because spleen is very healthy meat, and they would make him a meal out of spleen after a bloodletting. Rabbi Yochanan would drink so much wine after bloodletting that the smell of the wine would come out of his ears. That why was Rav Nachman would drink so much wine until his spleen inside his own body was drenched in wine. Rav Yosef Shosik at an ofik moved to Ksulisa. Rav Yosef would drink so much wine that the wine would start coming out of the place where they made the hole to do the bloodletting. What's bloodletting? They would take a needle and stick it inside the skin, and out would come blood. Afterwards, he would drink so much wine that the hole which was made by the original needle, wine would come out of it. Rava would come and look for wine which was 3 years old. Literally means wine of 3 leaves. 3 leaves means it had 3 sets of leaves, meaning that it was 3 years old. He would wait for such wine before he would, because that's the best quality wine. After having bloodletting, you should have the best quality wine. That's wine which is grown from a vine that's 3 years old. I ask of you, on the day of bloodletting, say to your families, Nachman ikla legabon, when Nachman's coming to visit us, meaning like this: since it's so important to have a proper meal after bloodletting, so the day that you do bloodletting, tell your wives that Rav Nachman's coming to visit. When they hear that Rav Nachman's coming to visit, your wives will make a very, very big meal, and then you'll have plenty to eat after your bloodletting. So you're allowed to trick your wives that your Nachman's coming to visit, in order to get them to eat a very lot in order after bloodletting. All kinds of tricks are forbidden, except for the following trick which is permitted. What is the trick? A person did bloodletting and he's got nothing, he can't afford wine. So what should he do? So in the olden days, when you used to buy wine, what they used to do is they would always give you a small cup to taste it. So what the trick basically was to take money which people don't like to accept, meaning money which has been rubbed out. In those days, money which was rubbed out was not worth so much. And you go from shop to shop and say, I want to buy wine. And then what would happen is they would give you a small taste. And then you'd pay with this invalid money. And then the shopkeeper would say, well, if you've only got that money, I don't want to sell it to you. And then you would leave the shop and you would do the next thing, and it's exactly the same thing in the next shop. You'd go from shop to shop offering to buy wine. Every time you'd get a taste. Every time you'd pay with this currency which is useless. Every time the shopkeeper would send you packing. And in between you'd end up drinking wine. So what you should do is, you should take a zuz which has been ruined. Go to 7 shops. At the time, until you manage to drink as a combination from all the shops an entire ris. It's Geneva. So they say that this coin is not totally useless. It can be used. The shopkeepers are fussy. So since the shopkeepers potentially could buy it and could sell it to you for this coin, it's their loss that you've taken a taste for free. And if not, if you can't do this either, you should eat 7 black dates, and you should smear oil on your forehead, and you should sleep in the sun. The sun makes a person feel better. What's the next? Avlet. Ashkechel Shmuel the Goni b'Shimshon. Avlet met Shmuel that he was lying in the sunshine. Sleeping in the sunshine is dangerous. Why would you sleep in the sunshine? It's a day of bloodletting. The day of bloodletting, it's permitted, it's good for a person to sleep in the sunshine. But it wasn't true. The day that is the beginning of the Tammuz season, that is the only day of the year where it's healthy to be in the sun. So therefore Shmuel knew that piece of information. And the reason why Shmuel was lying in the sun was not because of bloodletting. The reason why Shmuel was lying in the sun was simply because he knew that that was the day when it's healthy to lie in the sun. So why did he tell it to I will not tell Avnei, because he didn't want him to know this piece of information. Anybody who's negligent and doesn't eat a meal after bloodletting, that Hashem stops giving him food, because that's such a terrible avera, not to eat a meal after bloodletting. It shows a carelessness about a person's life. So then Hashem gets rid of his food. And he doesn't care about his own life. I should care about his life. A person who does bloodletting, he shouldn't sit in a place where it's windy. Why? When they would do bloodletting, they would always make sure that there was a bit of blood left in the body, because a person can't survive without any blood. So they would always make sure that there would be a bit of blood left. How much blood? A revius. But if the wind comes, then the one who did the bloodletting might make sure there's exactly a revius left, and the wind will come, blow away, and they'll end up with less than the revius. So the Lord says, wind will come, and that would be dangerous. Shmuel, whenever he did bloodletting, he would always make sure that the walls were so thick that there were 7 bricks and 1 stone around the walls of the house. That way, there should be no problem of the wind coming and causing danger. Since bloodletting, you can end up with very little amount of blood. It can be dangerous, and since it can be dangerous, therefore, make sure to have a very, very secure wall. Yom Echad, one day, he felt himself getting weak. He checked and he realized that one of the bricks was missing, and therefore became dangerous. So you see how careful you have to do when you do bloodletting to be in a place which is warm and insulated. A person does bloodletting. First, he should eat something, and only then he should go out in the street. If he doesn't eat anything, if he meets a dead person, his face will go green. If he meets somebody that's a murderer, and the person will die. Top of someone's base. If he meets a chazer, will cause tzaras. So therefore, if a person does bloodletting without eating, he could end up with tzaras, and therefore a person must make sure to eat. Rav Shmuel Domit Shabai, Haimad David Milsa, Lishi Pulte should wait a bit after bloodletting, and then get up. The Omar, we said, Chamisha Dvorim Kroivin Amisa, Yosim in Achayim. There are 5 things that cause a person to be closer to death than to life. For Eiluhain, these are them. There are 5 things that if a person does that are extremely, extremely weakening, extremely dangerous. What are the 5 things? Ochal, if a person eats the omad, and he gets up off his seat straight away without resting for a moment. Shasa, if a person drinks the omad, and he quickly gets up without resting. Yoshan, if a person is sleeping the omad, he jumps out of bed. Hikiz, dam, if a person does bloodletting the omad and quickly gets up. Shemish mitos, if a person has relations the omad and gets up. A person after doing these 5 things, eating, drinking, bloodletting, sleeping, and having relations, should not run out of his position. Rather, he should take it slowly, because these things can cause a person time to get ready for his energy. Omar Shmuel, carrying on with the halachas of bloodletting, pulsa the dama. How often should a person do bloodletting? Called Tlosin Yom, every 30 days. Ubein HaPrakim, once a person gets older and is over the age of 40, he should only do it every 2 months. When he gets even older, when he gets over the age of 60, he should only do it once in 3 months. Up to the age of 40, one should do bloodletting every month. From 40 to 60, every 2 months, and from 60 onwards, every 3 months. When should the person do bloodletting? Chad Shabbos on the first day of the week, Sunday. Arba on Wednesday. Umali Shabbos on Friday. But not on Mondays and Thursdays. Why not Mondays and Thursdays? Because on Mondays and Thursdays in this world and in Shemaim we have Dinner Torah. Somebody who's got Schus Avos, then he can do bloodletting on Mondays and Thursdays. Why? Because since on Mondays and Thursdays there's a lot of judgment in the world and bloodletting is dangerous, so therefore he's putting himself in the matter of danger on the day when he's being judged. They're both sitting in Torah. It's lost of Shabbos on a Tuesday. One should not do bloodletting. Why should a person not do bloodletting on a Tuesday? Because the Mars, Madim, which is Mars, will be at a time of Zugos. This is a bit of a complicated thing we'll try and explain. Zugos, pairs, the Gemara Pesachim tells us that anything which is a pair, means two of anything, 2 pieces of bread, 2 beds, anything which is a pair can be dangerous. Furthermore, there are 7 constellations which the Chazal were kivea. The 7 are the 7 planets that we can see, including the sun, the moon, and the 5 planets. Now, these 5 planets are called Katnash Chala, because what happened was that these are the 7 which what happens is each one starts off at the beginning of the night. When Hashem created the world, Hashem created that He created it on a Wednesday. We discussed this in Brachas, and He put the 7 constellations in order, and each one has 1 hour of power. This is nothing to do with astronomy, because in astronomy, in fact, they all have no difference which day of the week, which one has more power. It's to do with a ruchnistic thing. And when Hashem created the world, these 7 lights have an influence on the world. Now, Madim, which is red, Madim is red, is Mars, because of the fact that it's red, like blood, is a siman ra. It's a bad siman. So since on Tuesday, the first hour of Tuesday, which one comes into power? Madim. Furthermore, not only that, Madim will also come in the 8th hour. In the 8th hour of the day, which is a time of zugos, times of pairs, anything which can be divided by 2 is considered a pair. Therefore, you've got the double danger. You've got the danger that it's a time when Madim is in power, Mars is in power, plus it's at a time where it comes in power in an hour, which is a double, which is a pair. So therefore, Tuesday is a dangerous day, and the person shouldn't do any bloodletting on a Tuesday. Fade the Gemara, if that's the problem. Mali Shabbos and Nami can be Bezovi. On Friday as well, if you work it out, the first hour of the day, then what happens is you've got Madim, and also it comes in pairs. And what happens is that means in the 6th hour of the day you'll have Madim as a pair in power. But the answer is that since people got used to it, why did people always do bloodletting on a Friday? Because as we said before, this is important to work out. As we said before, one of the most important things of doing bloodletting is to have a good meal afterwards. Now, in the old days, not everybody could afford to have a good meal. So what would they do? They would do bloodletting on Friday. Since on Friday night, people know they're going to have a good meal, they covered Shabbos. So therefore, they would do bloodletting dafka on Friday in order to save themselves the cost of a meal. If they do bloodletting a different day of the week, they would have to pay for a meal then, and another meal Friday night. Not everybody can afford that. So they would do bloodletting on Friday in order that the meal of Shabbos should cover the meal of the bloodletting. So therefore, since people used to do it, so therefore something which everybody does, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has protects. And in fact, that is a halacha that nowadays, for example, we're not makbid about zugos. Nobody cares about eating 2 slices of bread or having 2 guests or having a table with 2 legs. The whole idea of pairs has gone away, and this is the reason. Since we do it regularly, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says Doshu Beirabim. Omashbon Arba du Daled du Arba, Daled du Esim Arba. All these things are dangerous. That means if a Wednesday, Dalet du Dalet, a Wednesday which is the 4th day of the month, or a Dalet du Arbesa, or Wednesday which is the 14th day of the month, Dalet du Esim V'Arba, or Wednesday which is the 24th of the month, Dalet du Lek Abba Ba'asvei, a Wednesday when there's no more 4 days of the month after that, Sakanta, it is dangerous to do a bloodletting on any of these days. Doing bloodletting of Rosh Chodesh on the 2nd day of Rosh Chodesh, that is dangerous, is weakening. Shlishi loy sakana, it's mamish dangerous. Mali Yom Tov, be the day before Yom Tov, chulsha, that makes a person weak to do bloodletting then. Mali Yom Tov sakanta, then it's really dangerous. They said all Yom Tovim one should not do bloodletting because of Yom Tov of Shavuos. That means you're never allowed to do bloodletting on Erev Yom Tov because of the sakana of Shavuos. Why? The Nafik Beizika, there's a certain ruach roa shade, v'shmei tevoyach, which is called tevoyach. It would have killed them and their flesh and their bodies. Therefore, since if they wouldn't have accepted the Torah, there would have been a terrible shade that would have destroyed the world. Therefore, Erev Shavuos is a dangerous time. Therefore, every Erev Yom Tov one should never do bloodletting. If a person ate 1 kernel of wheat and does bloodletting, the bloodletting didn't help because it only did for the wheat. If a person wants just to loosen, to make the blood less in his body, less heavy, then it works. He should drink straight away by eating up to the half a mil. Half a mil is 18 minutes up to 9 minutes. Drinking later is bad. It doesn't help and it doesn't harm. Or maybe it's no good and it's not bad. Teiku, it is teiku. So we're going to stop over here because we're finishing with the halachas of the bloodletting. Let's just summarize. In the old days we did bloodletting a very lot, and the most important thing is to eat afterwards a proper meal. There are certain days one should not do bloodletting, that is Erev Yom Tov. All Erev Yom Tov is forbidden because of Erev Shavuos. Wednesdays, which is the 4th or 14th or 24th of the month, is also forbidden. And the Gemara says there are 5 things that if you do, you shouldn't jump up, which the Gemara brings it down. For example, you shouldn't jump out of bed too quickly because it is dangerous. And a person should make sure to eat proper food after doing bloodletting. The Maisa. The Marshal points out that this shade was called Tavuach. The literal translation of Tavuach means slaughtered. Now the Marshal asks the Kasha, it shouldn't be called Tavuach, killed. It should be called killer, because this shade wanted to destroy the world. Says the Marshal, once we accepted the Torah, the power of Mazikim to harm us has been destroyed, and therefore it is called that which has been destroyed, not the destroyer, because the Mazikim have been destroyed by our ability to accept Torah. In Mirz Hashem on Shabbos, we'll carry on from Machriz Vav, and we will go through to the next Berk of Eleza, the Mila, in Mirz Hashem on Shabbos. I'm sorry, I've changed my mind. I'd like to finish the Perek, since it's nice to start a new Perek on Shabbos. It's easy, Gemara. Let's just finish the Perek. I'm sorry it's a bit longer than an hour. You'll have to listen to it on Friday if it's too much. Machriz Vav, Meo Kori Bezuzah. A person should only pay for 100 pumpkins as zuz, because they're not very healthy. Meo Veshe, 100 heads of an animal, bezuzah. Meo Sfami, 100 lips of animals. Below Klum, a person shouldn't pay anything at all, because they're worthless. A David should didn't learn. Omi, they would say, it's a day of lips. I didn't understand, and now I understand. Just like lips are useless for food, they don't help a person. Yeah, it's not healthy for a person. On a day of the Talmidei Chachamim didn't learn, they would say today is the day of the lips, meaning it's an unhealthy day. Koshna Tabu is allowed to tie up the pipe that comes from the navel. Even allowed to cut it. The afterbirth, if you put it in a warm place through a skula, through some kind of unnatural means, it would make the child feel warmer. They would hide it in bowls of oil. In bowls of wool. In felt, in pieces of cloth which has been worn away. The halach is like to Rabbi Yosi, that what? That you're even allowed to cut the navel of the animal, of a baby born. If twins are born and they're sharing the same umbilical cord, then you're allowed to cut it even according to Rabbi Yosi, because the umbilical cord, which is attached to two babies, if they don't cut it, it could be very dangerous. Hashem told Yechezkel Hanavi that actually he looked after Klal Yisrael like a mother looks after a baby. And the Gemara explains that all the Pesukim there describe how Hakadosh was very devoted to Klal Yisrael. And the Gemara says that all the things that the Pasuk describes how the Navi did for Klal Yisrael, Hashem did for Klal Yisrael, a person is allowed to do on Shabbos. Shenema. On the day that you were born, your umbilical cord was not cut. You were not washed, to be smooth. You weren't salted. And you weren't bound. The Gemara explains. We explain just like the pasuk there says that Hashem had to help Klal Yisrael be born, so you're allowed to help a mother give birth on Shabbos. Your umbilical cord was not cut. That you're allowed to cut it on Shabbos. You're allowed to rinse the baby when it's born. You're allowed to wash it on Shabbos. In the olden days, they would salt a baby after it's born to give it strength. They would bind the baby with very tight clothes, and that would straighten the limbs and make the baby feel stronger and spread the limbs correctly. And all that is permitted on Shabbos. Since we see that Hakadosh Baruch told Yechezkel that this is all the things that Klal Yisrael needed, we learn from there that all of this Hakadosh Baruch did on Klal Yisrael. All of this is permitted to do to a mother on Shabbos. To learn it again in this world, that we should be able to understand it even better, and we should be zeichet to learn it in Beis Shonalo with all the great tzaddikim. Have a very good fast, atzlacha with everything. A lot of this Gemara is about bloodletting, and that's why I went a bit faster, because it's not really Negia and Maisa. We have to understand that everything which is written in Gemara is written for a purpose, so therefore we don't miss it out. On the contrary, we try our best to see what we can learn from every Gemara. Kol tov hatzlacha. I look forward to seeing you all in Mitzvah Hashem on Shabbos at 8:25.